Hey everyone, RogueGold here, welcome back to The Division 2. I'm back in town, y'all. Maybe some of you didn't know that I was out of town, but I made a community post about it recently. Anyway, just wanted to say that the last few videos that came out were pre-recorded while I was gone, but they have done amazingly, and I wanted to thank you all so much for the tremendous momentum that the channel has been carrying right now. Funny enough, I actually got to go to Washington, D.C., and there was ironically a snowstorm while I was there. I put this kind of funny post up over on Twitter saying that there were reports of snow coming from the castle. Anyway, you all don't care about that. Thankfully, Massive did not drop anything huge while I was out of town like last time, where I was gone for 2 days and they had a developer stream, they released the Lexington, it was crazy. However, there were a few smaller developments that happened throughout this last week. There have been some conversations in general that people have been having about The Division and Ubisoft. So I figured I'm back, and today let's do a news roundup of everything that you all need to know about what went down over this past week. We'll get right to it, but if you enjoyed this video and you want to stay up to date on everything that is happening with The Division 2 and The Division universe at large, then I hope you will consider clicking that subscribe button. Plenty more videos like this one on the way. And without further ado, let's get to it. Alright, so I want to begin with some of the Ubisoft drama, if you will. This stuff has been ongoing for several months by now, right? If you haven't seen some of the things online, there have been rumors of buyouts of the entire company. Just in general, people have been doomsaying about what could happen for the various IPs and properties that are under Ubisoft's umbrella. The latest development from this just the other day is that Ubisoft announced that they're still looking into buyout options or just business transitions in general for the entire company, and that they have now hired third-party analysts to kind of look over what might be the best options that they have available. So really kind of a whole lot of nothing, right? Because we still don't know what is going to happen, or if things do happen, how those might, if at all, affect The Division. And so for those of you who have been kind of nonstop asking these past few months why I have not been covering all of this stuff, it's because there's not really anything to cover, right? Nothing has happened yet. People are of course free to speculate all the livelong day on what could happen if these various routes and paths are taken for the business, and there's plenty of that content available for you here on the internet if you want to seek that out. But the way I see it, until tangible action actually happens where we can discuss what it will mean for the Division franchise moving forward, I don't really care to spend my time sitting here worrying about it. Because while yes, a company could come in, buy Ubisoft, and decide to cancel all of Division's projects, an asteroid could also come out of space and hit the Earth and wipe us all out. Of course I'm being dramatic, but I just don't feel the need to sit here and worry over potentials. Let's wait and see what happens, and we'll talk about it then. If you wanted a little bit of reassurance over all of this stuff that is going on, there were actually some comments made by some high-up Division people. We'll start with Palais, who is the lead art producer on The Division 2. He actually put this out just a few minutes ago while I was sitting down and preparing to make this video. He replied to some comments of people who again are just kind of worrying about this whole situation, saying Division 2 will continue, Division 3 will happen, don't worry. And then possibly an even more reassuring comment came from Julian Garrity, who again is the newly established executive producer of the entire Division IP and brand. He replied to the same comment saying, keep calm, Division on. Now look, obviously these two people are not in charge of Ubisoft, and they are not the CEO of the company who is deciding the fate of what is going to happen moving forward. All I know is that perspective is everything, and if you spend all of your time just doom scrolling on the internet and on Twitter, then that's all you're going to think about or see. Sometimes, if you log off, take a breath of fresh air, and just wait to see how things play out, they might not turn out as bad as you're imagining, right? I've been along for the ride with this franchise for nearly 9 years now. I've seen some dark and gloomy days for The Division before. Obviously, they were a bit different than this. This is a beast of its own. But I truly do have faith that we are all going to come out on the other side of this, whatever happens, a-okay. Alright, I digress, however, we do actually have a specific topic within this to discuss, and that is because alongside this news that Ubisoft put out about continuing to look into different options for the company, they did announce that Assassin's Creed Shadows was going to be delayed until March 20th. If you are unaware, Shadows is the latest entry to the Assassin's Creed franchise, which is arguably Ubisoft's largest and most successful property, and it is kind of the big title right now that they are putting a lot of their efforts into to try and get as much revenue from that as possible. The reason this is significant is that March 20th is 5 days prior to the current supposed Brooklyn DLC release for The Division 2. If you look at the in-game calendar right now, the season timer would suggest that the current season of Year 6 Season 2 will end, and then the new one will begin on Tuesday, March 25th. And so this has begun a lot of speculation about people saying, will the DLC be delayed, right? Ubisoft likely is not going to want to release these two premium things that close together. Here's my take. Do I think the DLC is going to be delayed from the Year 6 Season 3 update? I really do not, right? It has been in the works for over 2 years now. They started it at some point in 2022 when they announced that Year 5 is going to be a thing. I really do think that Year 6 Season 3 is the slot for this 2 release. The specific date for that release, however, I don't know. And something to keep in mind is that the in-game calendar has for a while now been kind of flaky, right? The devs even said on a stream, like, don't trust what the in-game calendar says because we always move that date around to not let people know the true ending date of the season. I don't know, that's kind of a weird thing that they do. But anyway, there are various different things that could play out here. They could move up the release of the new season and DLC earlier into March to avoid Shadows. They could also postpone the whole thing into April to avoid Shadows. Maybe they launch it right alongside. Maybe they don't see that as a larger concern or conflict for business. However it all shakes out, I'll put my foot down right now and say that I do believe that next season is going to be the release of the DLC. Maybe I'll eat my words on that, we'll see. But if there were any of you out there who were worried about this whole thing getting canceled altogether, like the DLC wouldn't happen, we actually had another tweet from Pale just the other day in response to someone asking, is the DLC still on? Is it still going to happen? He said, yes, it better be since I'm still working on it. And I know there's been many people who are like, why have we not gotten any news or teasers about this thing yet? It's actually not all that abnormal. For Warlords of New York, right, the last premium release for the game, they didn't reveal that thing's existence or start its marketing cycle until 30 days prior to the release of the expansion. So it's very possible that we're waiting into February, possibly even March, before we start hearing about this thing. We'll see, but of course, the moment we hear any additional news, I will keep you posted. Alright, now for the next item of business, we have a quick update that I wanted to share with you all regarding the Veteran Rewards Program and the Lexington Assault Rifle. What prompted this is that there had been a lot of reports from people saying that they were not getting their grant of the Lexington in the new year, right, once the calendar rolled over to 2025. And so for anybody who has been experiencing this or just wondering overall, I wanted to share this that the game shared over on Twitter the other day. Somebody said, hey, I haven't gotten my Lexington, and the game replied saying, hi, the Lexington was part of the Veteran Rewards Program with grants ending on January 1st. Unfortunately, there is no way to claim it now. However, stay tuned for future opportunities. So, there you have it. I would say that it's kind of unfortunate, right? It was not originally communicated that this program and this grant was like a limited time deal. They do, however, say stay tuned, and that leads me to believe that the Lexington will return in some kind of form. And I definitely think it should, given its power and prominence in the meta. That would be kind of unfortunate if people were just locked out of that altogether. And I did want to say that if it's not already going to be addressed by whatever the new distribution method might be, they really should add in a system that allows players to level their non-40 versions up to 40. I've gotten a lot of inquiries about that because people would log in on a character and they're stuck with a Lexington that is level 1, 3, 10, whatever. So we'll see what we hear about all this moving forward, but I wanted to let you all know that update. Alright, and then the last topic to go over is job hirings. We don't have any new ones to go over, and I don't actually even have anything to show you on screen. However, in this week that I was gone, there were several Division 2 and 3 jobs that were delisted. Now, of course, that could be for many reasons, but the most likely and hopeful outcome from that is that those roles have been filled. So those include the listing that was there for a new communications developer for the Division 2. This is, of course, to replace Daria, as she recently got a promotion within the team, so she is no longer in that role. There was one that was up there for a temporary contract role for a character artist on the Division 2 that has been delisted, and the one that has been there for a long while now, the Division 3's narrative director role, that is no longer live. So, you know, while things may look gloom and doom and news feeds will sit there dominating with sensationalized headlines, movement is happening on these things behind the scenes, so hopefully we hear good news out of all that soon. That is all I have for you today, folks. I very much appreciate the time you spent watching the video. Once again, I wanted to thank you all for the incredible support here on the channel while I was out of town. 2025 is off to an amazing start so far here on the channel, and I couldn't be more grateful. That said, any thoughts or reactions you might have to the stories that we covered today, or any questions you have about all these things, let me know down in the comments below. But yeah, that's going to do it for me today, folks. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. RogueGold. Out.